Sunrise on Saturday, I'm headed down to the lake, just my buddy and me. Got my boat hooked up to my Chevy truck. I'm running high on luck, I ain't ever coming down. Time to back the boat down.
What's up, everybody? Boy, do we have a slam banger of an episode planned tonight. You guys, I've been sharing this stuff out for a couple days here. If you guys have seen where my world that you guys just heard there coming in, if you guys have watched the whole story about how that came about, I met FLUKEMASTER, aka Gene Jensen, at a retreat for a company that we're both affiliated with, Angler. And we were in Pittsburgh. First time I've ever met this guy. Literally, I've been watching his YouTube channel for years. He has, amassed an amazing amount of people on YouTube, and with great, he definitely deserves it. Over 360,000 subscribers, if I'm getting that correctly. But he and I sat and hit it off, and then I was sitting around, got up my guitar, started playing My World. They actually filmed it, released it on FLUKEMASTER's YouTube channel. And about 2 months later, I got the courage to put it out on places where you could buy it. So without further ado, we're going to bring Gene Jensen, a.k.a. FLUKEMASTER, in here, and we're going to get to talking about fishing and content creating, guys. This is going to be a good one. Hey, Gene, what's up, buddy? I got you on the phone.
My earbuds. Am I muted? Here we go. That's better.
Yeah.
That's better. Yeah, I got to break. I had my wife bring me my earbuds. I was giving her a call upstairs. So, oh man, how are you?
I'm doing great, brother. Like I said, thanks for having you on here. Appreciate you spending some time with us. I'm sure that you get a lot of this stuff. People getting asked you to do this stuff, but again, I want to thank you first and foremost before we get into this for being a part of On Another Line.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited, man. I really am. I'm gonna have those just in case we get an echo. I forgot. I usually bring them down here. I do a live stream every Friday night right here in my office, so I usually have all my gear with me.
Yeah, for sure. It was echo at the beginning, but I think the software has got rid of it. But yeah, so guys, this is Gene Jensen, aka FLUKEMASTER. If you guys, I'm sure about 100% of you guys that are following me, or I'm sure subscribe to him. The fishing community is very vast yet very small too. It was funny. I was just telling a story there a second ago that recorded My World song at a angler retreat with Gene on his YouTube channel, and a guy that I know in town commented, he's like, "No way, Tyler Waller is on FLUKEMASTER's channel." He's like, "There's no way, dude." And I was like, "Yeah, it's a small world," but yeah, so it worked out. So if you guys, I'm sure you know who Gene Jensen is here at FLUKEMASTER. If not, in my opinion, has one of the most creative and best fishing related YouTube channels out there. We're going to talk about a little bit of content creating things and stuff, and talk about how to catch fish in the summertime. So Gene, if you want to give everybody a little bit of who you are and what you're about.
Well, name's Gene Jensen. I love quiet walks on the beach and all that other crap. But I'm married. I've got 4 kids. My oldest is 18, and he's got that disease we call 18. And then I got my youngest daughter just brought me my earbuds. She's 11, or 10, going on 11. And man, I love to fish, and back in the day, and when I think I was the first one to realize that everything I just started to see everything going to video from when it was forums and stuff like that. So I also noticed that nobody was teaching anybody how to fish online. They were just forums were, but videos weren't. It was back in early year and a half after YouTube started. That's when I got the idea of, with some help from some Boy Scouts that wanted to learn how to fish. I was like, let me just start making instructional fishing videos. Well, 13 years later, here I am, and doing it for a living now. So how cool is that?
That's awesome, man. Tyler Akers, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us. But yeah, man. So, that's one thing that I have. Again, I told you I have a pretty hard goal. I've told my followers for a while now that I've had a YouTube channel for about 10 years now. Most of it was related to music up until about 3.5, 4 years ago. I really solidly started pushing fishing related content. And as well as I do that it takes up, obviously you do it for a living, and you know that it is a full-time job if you want to do that. Like, you have to put in the effort, and I'm trying to do that, but I have a pretty hard goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the 2020 year. And I've been trying to hit that number. And I know, obviously it's kind of a snowball effect, and getting in the game early was a huge factor for you. And I think that's, a huge deal, which is, is pretty crazy. But, if I were to, if you were a new YouTube, entrepreneur, you wanted to get into the video or vlogging content. So what would be your first bit of advice for anybody trying to get into the YouTube world?
Stop talking about it, is usually what I tell everybody. Stop saying you're about to start a YouTube channel and start it, and start making the mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make videos that suck. I still do to this day. You're going to mess up your audio. You're going to mess up your video. The things are going to go wrong. And it's from those mistakes, you learn how to fix those mistakes, and you get into a routine. And then it goes to, the biggest trick is just consistency. Consistently have videos out. Pick 2 a week, 3 a week, 4 a week. You can grow really fast with 1 a day, but you choke yourself. I mean, it's one of those things where it is a grind. Literally, I stopped a video from downloading to get on this interview. My son, I love him to death. My 16-year-old is a great videographer, and he's a great editor. Learned it all in high school. I didn't teach him a thing. And he does a whole lot better than I do. So I just started him on that, and he just finished editing, and I'm in the process of putting one on YouTube right now. But the biggest thing is, don't be afraid. And then another big tip is the comments. Don't worry about the comments. Don't listen to the crap. You're going to get a little bit of it. You're not going to get a lot. There's going to be a certain number of people that don't like you, but there's going to be a whole lot of people that like you. And don't try to change yourself. A lot of these YouTubers have totally changed their personalities trying to fit in. And I have refused to, and I'm in it for the long run anyway. So.
Yeah. And so that's one thing that I'm glad you mentioned, that is that I feel like that I don't know if I'm just kind-hearted or when I'm a teacher, I'm always under scrutiny, and I don't want the people, I try not to tick anybody off. But you're right, man. Like, one of the biggest things that I have trouble with, even at my 2,000 subscribers limit here, my level there, which is, again, Gene, if you guys are just now joining us, he's got 360,000 subscribers. So I can imagine, what kind of people are going to, there's always those people, you know what I mean? Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, like one guy commented, like yesterday, we went to St. Clair and caught fish on the bed, and his comment to me was, "Go pre-spawn and leave them alone on the nest." It's like, well, the lake's 6 hours from me, and I get rarely time to leave, so I'm going to go catch the fish when I can go and catch the fish. You know what I mean? There's billions of fish in the lake, and if me catching a fish off a bed is going to hurt the fishery, then bass tournaments would have been long dead years ago, because some of the best fishing tournaments are in the springtime anywhere you're at.
Yep.
But yeah, Tyler Akers says, I watch a lot of Gene's videos. I think we all do. Stephen Chase here. Hey, Stephen. Stephen, actually, I met him through my fishing show, but he is a big rig driver for some big country music artists. He was driving Justin Moore's rig for a while.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know. I actually know a guy that used to drive. Man, my phone's not going on silent. There we go. I used to know a guy that drove for several country music artists. Actually, I still know him. He lives up in Tennessee still. Does it every once in a while. So. Pretty cool. It's a cool job.
Yeah, he's hooked me up with a lot of cool stuff, man. But yeah, so the thing about YouTube is that I get this a lot, even from local people, and I don't know what to tell people, because I have a lot of high-end gear, but they always ask me, what's a good camera to get started with? And usually I tell them, grab a GoPro, the highest one the newest one that's out there. But recently, man, I've had some terrible luck with a GoPro Hero 8. Like, it has been, I have like 3 of the 4s. I have 2 5s. I have a 6. I skipped a 7 and bought 2 8 blacks. And matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, I took a young kid fishing on Mosquito Lake in Ohio, caught a 4.5 pounder, and my GoPro was glitching out and didn't capture the footage. So, maybe you can help me out. I'm looking for a decent vlogging camera. Actually saw it from you up at that retreat. I picked up the DJI Osmo Pocket.
Yes.
It's a really cool camera, but the audio is just not there. So
yeah, it's a good B-roll camera. I've got an older version. I'm gonna show you the one that my son uses. And this is an older version, so get the new one. But this is a Canon G3X. I don't know what the new one's called.
Yeah.
What I like about it is the screen flops up so you can see yourself while you're pointing it at you.
Yep.
But it does really good quality. It's not a cheap camera, but that's the one my son uses to film me. If you want an action camera, Sony makes one that's white, and I never can remember this. They don't have a name for it. It's just numbers, but it's a white little action camera, and it comes with a little screen protector and that kind of stuff. That's what I use in my kayak and my boat in front of me because it has a microphone jack in the back, and I can hook my I can hook my external mic into the back of it. And for microphones, you're going to spend a little bit of money, but I found the the Rode wireless Go mic, the new little ones. They're about this big. They're rechargeable.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. I have two of them because I will burn through one in about 5.5 hours, and then I got to jump to the other one.
Yeah, it looks like the Sony action camera is the FDR X3000.
Yep, that one.
That's cool.
And
Yeah,
it's as good. It shoots as good, if not better, video than, and it's been out longer, than the GoPro Hero 7. But it's been out 3 years longer than the 7.
that's cool. I have to check it out. We got a comment here. It says, "Love Gene's content. Found you through him and love your content too, man. I appreciate it." It's Patriot J Fishing.
Hey, man, what's going on, man? Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like, it's been a whirlwind of YouTube. And again, first and foremost, I want to say that thank you guys that have subscribed to my channel in the past couple weeks. I've had 80 subscribers in the past 2-3 weeks, which is phenomenal. That's definitely that's a milestone mark for me. As you guys know, I'm trying to hit the 5,000 subscriber mark, and I appreciate you guys that have subscribed. But I just now finally broke the 2,000 subscriber mark, which is, I should like have fireworks and stuff going off. It's like 2,000 subscribers, but I'm getting there, so I'm trying to do it.
I remember my first video to ever get 1,000 views, and I called Ryan, my buddy, and I was like, "Dude, we just got 1,000 views on our video." I was stoked. Man, and it's a slow process. I don't look at numbers. I do look at numbers monthly, but I really don't gauge my growth except for annually when I'm doing YouTube, mainly because fishing is a ebb and flow. There's a peak fishing time, and there's a November, December, January dead fishing time. And so you just kind of have to look at your numbers year to year and see how you're growing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So if we take a look here at my analytics, I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing right now. So for the last, let's see here, let's do for the last 365 days. Just shy of 200,000 views. Reach is 1.6 million impressions, 199,500 views, like I said. But so I've been using, I think I got the information from you. I've been using Google Trends a lot. Seems to be finding, if you guys know what Google Trends are, Google Trends is a website obviously based through Google that'll show you you could search for a topic, say bass fishing, and it'll show you like a breakout of what the 5 most searched things that's related to bass fishing is. So I think a lot of the stuff creating content is creating stuff that people are searching for. And that's been a big help. Like my best producing video, which is weird, is how to clean boat carpet.
Yep.
So
you never know which one's going to produce the best. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's the cool. So, like I said, and it's not huge. You know what I mean? It's got it's my best producing video ever. It's got, I lied. I'm saying that it has 22,000 views in the past year, but most of my subscribers and stuff come to watch my reviews about high-end Shimano and G Loomis products. Yeah. And I do the same thing. If I want to buy something, I get on your channel, whoever, so I just search for whatever. And I think another big thing about being in the YouTube world is also being on, top of the Google search list, and that's with SEO and all that other stuff. So I'm learning, man. So enough of the analytics stuff. Let's get into a little bit of, let's talk about some fishing, man. So I always ask the people that are on my show, that I have a little thing here, is kind of like, love it or hate it. And the question is a bass bait that you'll never go fishing without is one. It doesn't matter what time of year. We're just talking about a bait that you'll never leave the bank without. And then the other one is, what is a lure that you feel like is overrated? And I'll give you mine really quickly. My bait that I'll never leave home without is going to be a Texas rig Zoom speed crawl with, green pumpkin or green pumpkin purple with probably 3/8 ounces. The heaviest I go 4/0 Gamakatsu or Mustad hook, and then the thing that I think is overrated and I get hammered on it a lot is the whopper plopper. I just can't catch fish on it, and I just feel like that they're just that it's just, I don't know, man. So yeah, if we already know, I guess what your overrated bait is, but go ahead and shed some light on that.
Yeah, whopper plopper is the most overrated bait out there. It does catch big fish. It does. But it doesn't produce as much as you think it should. It really doesn't. I can take a buzz bait out and I can hammer fish on a buzz bait. I've never hammered fish on a whopper plopper, and I've tried a lot. And I have a whole box of every size. It's one of those things where it's just it's either on or it's completely off, and most of the time it's off. At least for me, that is, And I have been schooled with a whopper plopper, but that's being schooled was a guy caught one big fish, and I didn't catch a thing. But
yes, so that's the thing. Like Stephen Chase here, he's talking about like I said, he sent me a picture last year of a 10-pounder he caught a chick on a whopper plopper.
Yeah, I mean, it's just every once in a while. It's just not one of those things that I'm going to throw to catch a fish.
Yeah. Stephen also says, have you ever come up to Center Hill or Del Hollow in Tennessee there?
I've been on Del Hollow once. Was on my way up to Lake Erie to fish, and I had my kayak with me, and I spent a day and a half on Del Hollow, and I think I caught 2 smallmouth. I'd never seen it, I never read anything about it. Just stopped at the state park and went fishing. So I love to do that anyway. So
yeah, me too. And Tyler Ickes wants to know, what's your favorite shaky head worm in the summer?
Favorite shaky head is the 13 Fishing BFF for a worm. They designed it with just the right buoyancy for a shaky head. It doesn't float too much. It's got a little bit of salt in it, but it doesn't sink. And it actually saved my tournament on Logan Martin this spring. My bite completely went away, and I just happened to have two bags of black BFFs, and I ended up qualifying for the national championship, the BASS, what they call BASS Kayak Series National Championship because of it. So it was a grind, but yeah, man, that's my favorite worm. Shaky head, the jig head itself, Missile Bakes makes a really good one, and I never can remember the name of it. It's got a really cool shaped stand-up head. My only argument about that is after you've caught too many fish, that head gets loose on the hook, but it's just because of the design. So
yeah, I don't think there's any way of getting around that, because there's just so much ledge you could put around that. But I think is it called the Warlock?
Yeah, the Warlock. Great bait. Except the larger ones, the hook needs to be a little bit bigger on that one, because you miss a few fish, it blows the fish's mouth open a little bit. So, but the one I always will be in the boat with is a rage bug. I won't go anywhere with that one. I've got a whole box. I got 2 big boxes. One big box goes in my boat, one smaller box full of them that's in my kayak. And Texas rig them. You can swim them. You can use them as trailers. And I'm not sponsored by them. I just love them, and I've always loved them. I actually got a bag of them when they were still prototypes. Steve Parks, the inventor, hand poured some, brought them to an event that I was at, gave me a gallon Ziploc bag full of them. And by the end of the week on Wilson and Pickwick, they were gone. I used every one of them. So I fell in love with them then.
Yeah, the old rage bug there. Patriot J Fishing says he asked Gene about a setup for a Carolina rig on his Friday Night Live, then picked up a 7.6 G Loomis. And I actually posted a video about how to rig a Texas rig last week, so it kind of all fell into play there for you, man. So I'm glad you got some use out of that. In the summertime, it's one of my favorite things to throw especially around here, is a Carolina rig. If the fish are finicky, if the fish are deep, it gives me a way to fish, especially deep grass. It gives me a way, if you throw a floating worm, something you can Carolina rig, let the weight be in the grass and the weight be, or the bait be just above it. Man, it's a daily combination in the summertime.
Yeah, somebody used to make something that looked like a bullet weight, but it was made out of foam, like it was made out of styrofoam. And they don't make them anymore, but they were just little. They were painted black, and you could put them on the front of your lizard or whatever, and it would float that Carolina rig lizard way up high. You used to be able to catch a snot out of them, but evidently they weren't selling them enough, and they just stopped making them.
Yeah, I remember back in the old days, man. Like, I grew up fishing with my dad, who, we go to Lake Erie fishing, walleye fishing all the time, and they went from, this is back when the Erie Deary lure came out. That's where it was, it's just a spinner lure that they got. But what they come up with this thing now that's called a worm harness, which is basically like it's like almost like a Carolina rig for walleye. It's the exact same thing, but old timers, man, back in the day, like 60, 70-year-old dudes were throwing these worm harnesses, and they were packing like a syringe for like, like a diabetic syringe with them, and shooting actual live night crawlers full of air, and it was floating them off the bottom. I was like, these guys are like geniuses. They're, they're onto something.
Mad scientists.
So you can actually buy those things. They're not bullet weighted, but you can buy those little floating, they look like pills actually. You can buy those floats on any walleye store that they're just for worm harnesses that you can put right through there. And I guess if you had to, I bet you can buy black ones, I'd say, of it, but if not, a little bit of spray paint or a Sharpie would take care of it. Yep. So Stephen Chase says nothing like a baby brush hog on a Carolina rig. I'm with you. I like a regular size brush hog, but it's, so up at St. Clair, if you guys have never been to St. Clair, first and foremost, the amount of current that comes through that lake is phenomenal anyway. If you get a 2 or 3 foot chop, you're going to have a decent weight to get down there. But a Carolina rig with a brush hog is pretty phenomenal for any kind of species that you're working with there.
Yep. Deepest bass I ever caught was on a Carolina rig, 62 feet deep.
Whoa.
Yep. It was make a cast and eat a sandwich and wait for it to get on the bottom. That's how deep it was.
Yeah, I heard, I think it was, let's see, who was it? It was Mark Zona was doing a fishing show one time on a cooling pond lake. It was warm and it was, snow. It was like a foot of snow around this pond, and it was, really nice, like 70 degrees, or it wasn't that warm, but he's like, we're fishing these jerk baits, and he's like, it's jerk, check your email.
Yeah.
So Micah Hoban Sachs says, hey, how's it going, fellas? You guys like spinning gear or bait casting when you're worm fishing? So I'll let you go ahead, Gene.
Both. It all depends on the size of the worm, the technique, but I'll tell you what the advantages and disadvantages of both are. I can make 3 times more casts with a bait caster than I can a spinning rod, because of the amount of time it takes to, once you get the bait in, to get ready to make the next cast. And that's a lot of time when you're talking about covering water. You're talking about, just fishing in general. The more casts you make, the more opportunities you have to catch a fish. But spinning gear, on the other hand, if you're going light line, light techniques, drop shot, Ned rig, Nico rig, whatever, then you really need to go to lighter tackle, and a spinning rod being a better fighting rod and better for your, for your light techniques anyway. It's just it doesn't put as much stress on the line when you set the hook and all kinds of other stuff. Then you go with spinning gear. Plus, you can cast it a mile. But always, for me, I will never go back to mainline being the fluorocarbon or anything else. It's going to be mainline braid, 20-pound braid or 15-pound braid to a fluorocarbon leader. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll echo what Gene said there. It definitely depends. Like, I'm not going to throw a Carolina rig on a spinning reel rod. You're going to have some backbone and stuff. In my video I showed you guys the other day, that I actually was throwing it on a new Poison Adrena 7.3 medium heavy, and I feel like that may be on the light side of things. I should throw it on the 7.2 heavy or something that you get a little bit more backbone. Because with my Carolina rig rod, I have straight fluorocarbon on it, and even though fluorocarbon doesn't stretch as much as mono, it does have a little bit of stretch to it. But I'm definitely with you when it comes to a spinning rod. I will never, ever in my entire life have a spinning rod that has just fluoro or just mono on it. I'm going to throw some mono as a backer. It's going to be, I fish a little heavier than most people do on spinning rods. I have 30-pound Super Slick Power Pro on there. And the reason I go up a little bigger is because, you're still talking about a diameter of like 6-pound test. Yeah. And with the Super Slick, it used to be back in the day, what would happen is if you had an 8-carrier braid, something that's a lot thinner and a lot slicker than most regular 4-carrier stuff, is that if you set the hook on a big fish or you get snagged or whatever, that braid would want to embed itself into the spool, and you go to cast and you break your line off or break a rod or whatever. But I think they fixed that with the 8-carrier stuff, so that's why I jumped up to the 30-pound. But I will never in my life, I was actually having a conversation with Tyler Akers, who's joining us now here, the other day about spinning rods and spinning gear, is that 100% of the time, no matter what I'm fishing, and I think, I don't think that the color of braid matters. I fish really high visibility stuff. Like they actually quit making high vis yellow from Power Pro, but I like something I can see. They have stuff called moonshine now that actually will glow under a black light if you night fish. But I like to be able to see my line move. Because if I'm finesse fishing, there's a lot of times I won't even feel the bite. They're going to hit it on the drop or something that, I'm really saying. So it's definitely, anywhere from 15 to 30-pound braid on a spinning rod to a fluorocarbon. I like, Sunline SC Sniper as an actual leader. But that's the way to go, in my opinion.
Try the new flash green from Seagar, the Seagar Smackdown flash green. Seagar stopped making yellow too, and a lot of the pros started complaining about it. And the reason they stopped, and I think the reason why Power Pro stopped, is that nobody was buying the 30, 40, 50, 60 pound yellow that everybody was making. So they got rid of it. They didn't realize that all we needed was 10, 15, 20, 25, and that, and so on. And so Seagar got smart and started to just make what we use for spinning line is high vis. And it's not super bright, but you can see it really well. So it's pretty good stuff.
I talked to the guy, like the CEO of Power Pro, back in the day, and the guy was a super nice guy. I mean, he was super nice. We sat and had a conversation about it. The guy actually sponsored a build at my high school. We were building a 3D printed prosthetic hand.
Oh, wow.
I needed some filament to act as tendons. So I was like, what better time than to use some Power Pro braid, because it's not going to break. So I called the guy up, and actually I contacted him through my Shimano rep, and I ended up meeting him at ICAST, and he was a super nice guy. But I sat down and talked to him, and I was like, I like this, and we're having a conversation about it. And he actually told me to use Depth Hunter that they make, and it's every 10 foot, I think, or maybe 10 yards. I think it's 10 yards that goes to a different collar.
Yeah.
He's like, so if you can actually, if you want to see your line move, he said, go to that stuff. He's like, because you're going to be able to see it. Every one of those little bands that, you'll definitely be able to see it move. So I haven't yet, but that's definitely a technique I want to try it out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool being able to count your line down. That'd be awesome. I mean, I wish bank fishermen would use that more. I used to count down all the time bank fishing. I wanted to know how deep I was fishing. And it wasn't in feet. It was just in seconds. I didn't care about feet.
Yeah. So Aaron Webb said, just bought some high vis yellow last weekend when they quit selling it. If you're getting it now, it's just old stock, man. They're not making it anymore. So this year, 2019, if you bought some, you've probably picked up, actually 2020 is when they stopped making it. So you probably picked up some stock from 2019. It's not bad line. You're still going to be able to fish for it. Matter of fact, here's a quick tip for you guys that are buying this stuff. Guys, any kind of braid line is expensive, but I figure if you're going to catch fish, and especially tournament fish, don't skimp on your line. That's the only link you have between that and the paycheck. But one thing that I learned a couple years ago is a really cool idea I never thought of. Is a guy told me that when you get done with, the first 50 yards of your braid is all it's going to get chewed up. So he's like, take it on another spinning reel, reel that back the opposite way, and you still have the other section of braid on the other side that you're going to have that's going to be brand new. And that's what I do, and it saved me a lot of cash.
I got a real cool video about how to save money with line, and that's one of the biggest techniques is reeling it off and put another one on. And the other one is take your braided line, because it is expensive, take it out in the yard and run it all the way off the spool, doubled. So you have two lengths, because one spool of braid will fill two spinning reels, or not spinning reels, two bait casters, if you're careful and if you know how much backing to put on. And it does take a little bit of trial and error to figure out exactly how much backing to put on. And then you can make one spinning reel for two reels last 2 to 3 years by doing all those techniques. And it saves you a ton of money. And then your leaders, fluorocarbon leader, one spool lasts you a whole year if you're just using leaders.
100%. So I tie uni to uni for my leader knot. What do you use?
FG knot. Never will go anywhere else. I love that knot. It's hard to tie. It's a 9 out of 10 for difficulty, but the FG knot is, if it's tied right, it lasts for days and days and months. I got a spinning rod. I've had one tied on for 4 months, and I'm still using the leader on it.
Wow, is that the one that they tie in between like a leader to fly line, if I'm not mistaken? Maybe I'm wrong.
It originated out of Australia with the saltwater guys, is where it originated out of. What it is basically you're tying a Chinese finger trap around your fluorocarbon.
I got you. I'll check it out.
It's super thin, and because there's no bend in the fluorocarbon, it's 100% knot strength, and it is and there's no way for that fluorocarbon to get nicked as it goes through the guides thousands and thousands of times.
Yeah,
so that's why it lasts so long, and you don't even hear it go out of micro guides.
That's cool. So yeah,
it's hard though. Gosh, it took me 3 days of sitting on the couch to learn to tie it.
I have to check it out. I've never tried it. So Patriot says the Alberto knot, which I've used it a little bit, but I'm with you though. I like the Union is kind of thick. You can, if you don't get the tag ends trimmed really daggone close, you can hear it going out your guides and stuff. So I'll have to check out the old FG.
I was an Alberto guy for years before I learned the FG knot, and Alberto's a good knot, but then again, you still got that one little place that the fluorocarbon that hits the guides on the way in and out that wears that knot down quickly. You got to retie it if you're fishing tournaments. I always retie it every hour and a half, 2 hours, which was excessive, but you could probably go a half a day and not have to retie it.
Yeah, I don't. And another thing that I don't do that most people do is that I rarely step down my fluorocarbon leader past 10-pound test. A lot of people, go down to 4, even 2-pound tests, especially on smallmouth and stuff. But maybe it's why I've not caught a 6-pound smallmouth yet. But it's just like, a 10-pound leader. If you put fluorocarbon, high-end fluorocarbon, whether that be Seagar or any kind of Sunline or whatever you have, you're looking at $30 plus a spool. You know what I mean? There's a lot of technology goes in that stuff. You drop it in a pool of water, dude. If a fish sees your line at 10-pound test, they're not biting your lure anyway.
Right. I'm going to give you a challenge though. Just drop to 8 and see how many more fish you catch. Because I've done that test between 10 and 8, and I don't know what it is, but I spent 6 months testing that, and it was amazing the difference between 8 and 10. So try it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. That's the thing. Like I said, and that's another thing that I always get hounded on YouTube and stuff is like people. There's always more professional fishermen out there than you are, and I don't claim to be like an expert by any means. I'm still learning. Right. When I ever get to a point where I feel like I'm an expert fisherman, that's when I'll quit. You know what I mean? Because it won't be fun anymore.
Yeah, it's so much fun to learn these stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I get hounded all the time. People are like, this is not the way you do it, or this is how you do it. It's like, well, that's the cool thing about having an opinion. You can have your opinion, I can have mine. But one of the things that I've seen lately, as far as YouTube goes, is that I've seen a lot of the community come together and actually build a community, and I feel like that we're actually getting there. Because it's a very small world, even though it's really not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For the short time we had that I'm not going to mention their names, but the group that tried to destroy the community. Yeah. And now that they have kind of moved on and done their own little business deal, which is great. I commend them for it. You're able to see the community that we've built behind the scenes between us. And, there's just a bunch of us that we talk all the time, and it's one of those things where we bounce ideas off each other. If something's trending, I send a text out to a bunch of people, that kind of stuff. We kind of keep everybody in the loop, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look back at the angler retreat, dude, there were some hammers on there. I mean, there was you. We had Ben Nowak, Alex Rudd. We had Tyler Anderson, who was Tyler's Real Fishing on YouTube. I mean, collectively, there was probably over 1 million subscribers in one room, which is crazy. But it was a fun time. I appreciate that opportunity, and I've learned a lot from you guys and that stuff. But so, Gene, I've had you on here for about 33 minutes. Don't want to keep you away from your family too much. Let's talk fishing for about another 5 minutes, and I'll let you get off here. First and foremost, again, I want you to know I appreciate you coming on. I know it's very, very important time with family and everything, and you're obviously doing this all the time. But I wasn't kidding before we started that I want to come down and do some fishing with you. Hopefully we can make it happen this summer. I'd love to come down, either just pack my rods and fish or bring my boat down or whatever. I'd love to come down and get some time on the water with you.
Heck yeah. You know it, man. I got some good little small lakes around here. I've got as a matter of fact, this Sunday, this coming Sunday, I've got an angler /13 fishing deal where I'm fishing 1-on-1 against Dave Lefebvre. Dave's going to be up in
Lake Erie. Dave was at that angler retreat too.
Yeah, he sure was. I'll be up there. He'll be in Lake Erie, and I'm actually the lake that I've been catching all the hammers on this last month has no cell service at all, so I can't fish that one. So I've got to go north and fish a lake. I literally spent 4 hours on yesterday running around with my kayak, scanning this lake, trying to figure out where the fish are. And I don't know how I'm going to do, but that's my only option, is to fish that lake. And I don't want to go to Chick or Chickamauga or Nickajack, because I haven't been on there in 2 years. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be fun, but it's going to be a 4-hour deal from 8 or from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday on Angler's Facebook page, I believe.
That's cool. So Joe Randall said, "What's up, Gene? You decided to fish Hiram or not yet? I want to see you set some Utah bass."
Hiram is a lake just south of Logan, Utah, and I'm going to go visit my brother in Logan next month. And I think I'm going to fish it. I have to figure out how much I can pack to do it. And somebody's going to loan me a bona fide SS 107. So I'll probably be out there fishing. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just happen to will be at my brother's house in Logan at the same time of this tournament. So I might as well go goof off and have a little fun doing it.
Yeah, you might as well. And that's something else I want to try to get into is the kayak fishing world. And I know you guys are huge on the bona fide, and I'm definitely looking into getting one of those things. It's, the kayak fishing world is astronomically, it's tenfold bigger than it was even last year. And I think it's due to a lot of you guys, you, Scott Butcher, and all those people. I know Alex Rudd is big into the kayak fishing world and stuff. There's, and it's awesome to see that stuff. Like, what you guys just had the very first, what was it, the BASS Open?
Yeah.
The kayak. That was the culmination of that was at the Classic, which was really daggone cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a tough tournament. I finished 26th, and out of, I don't know, 400 boats or something like that. It was some crazy amount. But that
was Logan Martin, right?
Yeah, Logan Martin. And my creek, from the time the tournament started to the time I left, my creek came up 4 feet. Wow. And I watched it come up, and because of the flooding and all the rain that we had and stuff like that. So my fish came out of the creek channel, went whoop, gone. So that's when I had to take the shaky head and start throwing the shallow cover, so.
Yeah, actually the guy who won it mentioned on the stage at the Classic that he won it on a shaky head.
Yep.
So they must have been hammering the old shaky head.
Well, they found an old pond, or a pond that was part of Logan Martin, but the only way you could get through it to it was if the water was high. So they were able to barely get their kayaks over this area in this backwater and into this pond that was crystal clear. And that's where there were 4 guys back there hammering fish. And it was way up the river, and it was a scary run in a kayak. And I refused to even try to go up there because of the current that was coming down. So risk and reward.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. That's the whole thing about fishing, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're just going out fishing, and I'm sure you get this too, especially local guys that I fish with. Their biggest thing is they always say, "Tyler, why do you go out, catch these fish, show your spots and what you're using when you're a tournament fisher?" And my biggest thing is, like, you can go out on a Monday and hammer fish on a topwater bait. You can go out on that same lake on Tuesday and never catch a fish on it. So if you can go out and duplicate what I do on a weekly basis, so be it. But the whole thing about it is that I enjoy creating content. I enjoy teaching others. Obviously, that's what I do for a living. And it's fun. I'm going to fish anyway. You know what I mean? So why not go out there and create some content? And, eventually, you never know. You turn into a $370,000 or 370 subscriber list there.
I'll give you for instance. Okay, so I was fishing my little local lake out here, and it was a kayak bass fishing, or a KBF monthly challenge tournament. And I caught giants this month. I'm talking my best 5 put to pounds was 6, 7, 7, 8, and a 9.5. Okay, on this lake, but it was over a 21-day period, and I probably fished 9 days, 10 days out of the period. But I'm sitting in one spot, and there's a school of giants out a cast from me, and I've got me sitting here, my son over to my right, throwing at another 90-degree angle, and another competitor over here to my left. We're all throwing to the same spot, throwing almost the exact same worm. I was the only one catching big fish. And the reason is because I was working my worm twice as slow as either one of those guys were. And so it doesn't matter. You could be fishing the same spot at the same time as that dude, and somebody's going to catch fish and other people are not. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I said, I've, to be honest with you, I've kind of stepped back from the tournament fishing world as far as this year. I feel like that you can get wrapped up in it a lot. And I started fishing when I was a little kid, just for the joy of fishing. Like, I was going out in a bluegill pond. It was an old strip mine pond, like a quarter mile from my mom's house. It was like a hike down through the woods. Like, I was picking ticks off for days. But I spent more time around that pond than any other time in my entire life. And I started fishing because I love to fish. And up until recently, I felt like tournament fishing was what I had to do. And I would go fishing, and some tournaments I'd win. I would lose more than I'd win. If you're going to be a tournament fisherman, to make a living, you better be dang good at it or have
Yep.
some stellar sponsors. But it kind of took the fun out for me. So this year I've determined that I'm going to fish one tournament on St. Clair. That's the BFL up there. Last year at the same time, I had 19.5 pound and finished 13th place as a co-angler. So if you're going to fish in places like that, I have a feeling. But it's taken a lot of, I guess, maturity for me to step away from it and just, go out fishing with Misty and have some fun.
Yeah, dude, the COVID has actually helped me a lot with just staying home and working with the kids, and and that's the reason why I've got my son editing for me right now, is because I was like, hey, let's try this. You're pretty decent at editing the goofy little videos that you do for people and with people. Let me have you do this. And he does a great job. And it's just, I had to step back from traveling. I put 65,000 miles on my truck last year,
Wow.
and so this year I'm like, yeah, let's save some money and let's not travel as much. And I've had a whole lot of, and I'm able to do the same thing, still able to make videos. Doesn't matter. There just needs to be water and fish. So
yeah, so that's the thing with me, is like that was my biggest deal. And when I was tournament fishing, a lot of times I was fishing BFLs and stuff that I was a co-angler in other people's boats, and some people are real leery about you running a camera on their boat. So like I would stick a GoPro suction mount like down in the console well, just showing up at me, and it got to the point like I don't want to watch this crap. There's nobody else going to watch this crap either.
Yep.
Yeah. So I stopped, and it's allowed me to create some content. Like I said, I feel like I'm growing, and I feel like I'm getting this 5,000 hard subscriber goal in my head, and I don't know if I'll stick to it, but I'm right now sticking to my guns. So again, I'm gonna try to get that.
Let me give you a good goal. Make a goal of how many videos a week you're gonna do, and then just make it a small goal. That's my goal is still 4 a week, and I can't do it. I still haven't been able to do it, but it's a good thing, and that way you keep your consistency. And another advice I'd give anybody who wants to do instructional videos is outline your videos before you do it. Don't just shoot from the hip, because then it ends up being a whole lot worse than outlining your videos. Even if you think you know everything, put it down on paper and go and do it, and do it per, and it's called what is it called? A
Storyboard.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I just do an outline and just go with that, and I don't forget stuff that way either. So
yeah, so that I did recently I've just started doing that. Like I'll throw it on notes on my phone and just shoot them bit by bit. And that seems to be helping a lot. And like I said, the whole deal is like before I would just shoot videos that I thought would be, what people would want. And I just randomly made a video about like a G-Loomis NRX, which is a $600 rod, you know what I mean? So I got one. I was super pumped about it. I made a video about it, and dude, it like blew up overnight. And I was like, what the crap just happened here? But 90% of that stuff comes from that. So I like the idea that people come to my channel to see product reviews and stuff, because that's why I do it. I want people to know my absolute opinion about the rods and stuff that I'm using. But I want people to, I'm trying to build a well-rounded channel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and well, people need product reviews for fishing. I can't do them because I get hammered really bad, because there's always, my problem is I'm not Shimano, and there's a bunch of Shimano guys out there who are so set on Shimano and so opinionated about everybody else, and I can't stand to have their comments on those videos. So I don't have any problem with Shimano, but even through the forum days back in the early 90s, when I was a moderator on the largest bass fishing forum on the internet, Shimano guys were the worst at giving their opinion about other reels that they had never used, and beating people up over what they used. And it just drove me nuts. It really did. And I don't know why it was. And I hate to stereotype people like that, but that's the way it was.
No, I get it. I still get it today. Like, I'm obviously a Shimano guy. I don't drink the Kool-Aid Shimano. I fish Shimano because I've fished it for years, and I think they make a very high quality product. A lot of people comment on my videos and stuff are unaware that Shimano has owned G-Loomis rods for about 20 plus years now. And they're always like, I'll get a comment about a Loomis rod, and they're like, you should buy a Shimano rod. I was like, I did. That's the biggest thing. Like, you always have these people that like just hammer you over stupid stuff. Like, I don't care about what you think. Like, I messed up one time saying that a Corrado K was an E series, and I had a Chronarch E series in my other hand, and I said this is a Corrado E series. Dude, I bet I got 50 comments just correcting me on there. So I pinned the comment on there on top of it, like, I am fully aware that this is not a Corrado or a Chronarch E series.
Dude, I do that. I do that on purpose sometimes.
Yeah,
because it gives you more comments, and it gets you. It tricks the algorithm.
yeah, for sure. So another comment, and I'll let you get off here. One of the guys. So when I very first started my live fishing show on Facebook, my cousin Josh and I were on here talking. I had a buddy of mine that's a Shimano guy. He won an ARC fishing rod. He won it on another fishing show. They sent it to him. He's like, dude, I'm never going to use this thing. He said, why don't you give it away on your show, maybe to a kid or somebody that wants to go fishing? So we did. We made a big to-do about it, made a huge event about it, saying, hey, we're going to give this thing randomly away to somebody. The only thing you got to do is comment why you think you need it, or, we're going to give this away. And the whole purpose was, like, I'm not going to use it. I'm a Shimano guy. My buddy's not going to use it. He's a Shimano guy, but there's no sense of this thing sitting in a corner somewhere when it could be free to somebody else. Dude, my Shimano rep called me. Was like, dude, you're getting blown up over all, like, it's like there's people like calling me that know me. And he's like, and I'm taking up for you. He said, because you're doing the right thing. He said, but God, it was terrible.
Yeah, I don't do giveaways anymore because of idiots. Yeah. There's too many of them out there that get their butt hurt.
100%.
I wish I could. I really wish I could, but they think they're all rigged, and I don't rig a thing, and it just drives me nuts. So
yeah. So Patriot J said you two work perfectly. My favorite reels are Shimano and 13 Fishing. So yeah, I mean, so that's another thing I want to give you guys an opportunity to think about is because I fish Shimano, I think Shimano is the best. However, if you're fishing 13 like Gene does, I'm not going to look down on you. My biggest thing is I can go to Walmart and pick up a Zebco 33 Classic and probably catch just as many fish as you can with a $700 rod and reel combo. But I fish what I like and what I can afford. I think you should do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tout one of the new 13 fishing reels, but that's only because I'm absolutely surprised they were able to do this. The new Concept C that's coming out is lighter than their old $550 KP.
Wow.
And I have no clue how they did it. It's a $220 reel. I have no clue how they did it. When I first got it out of the box, I picked it up, and the only one I had to compare it to was the E series, the Concept E, which was a $400 reel. And I picked it up, and it was lighter than that. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm gonna dig in and find out how they got it so light. I have no clue. And it casts like a dream, but that is beside the point. It just surprised the crap out of me.
Yeah, so I think across the board with all reel manufacturers, you look at Daiwa, you look at Shimano, you look at 13. There's a plethora of them, but I think that's out of necessity they're doing this. Like the Shimano, they come out with the Corrado DC 2 years ago, and that was the first digital control braking system that was in the United States. But they've been using it in the JDM market, the Japanese domestic market, for about 8 years now. They couldn't ever put it in an American's hands because we cast heavier baits. We cast way harder, and we set the hook a lot harder. So it was just destroying the things over here. They ramped it up. Comes into the market. I was like, this is going to be a $500 reel. And they dropped it at $249, and you can now get the SLDC for like $189. So I'm like, good. It just blows my mind that you can get that kind of stuff. And like I said, it's the same deal with the 13 fishing stuff you're talking about there. Yeah. It's amazing.
Those of us in the know, it makes us kind of like scratch our heads, like, how in the heck did they do that? Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I like. I'm a tester. I love to test product and stuff like that and give my honest opinion about it. And I still don't know how they did it. Not a clue.
Me either, man. Well, Gene, buddy, I appreciate you being on here almost 50 minutes, way longer than I thought. But I appreciate you again joining us. If you guys are just not joining us, I'm sure you know who this is. This is Gene Jensen, a.k.a. FLUKEMASTER on YouTube. Go over and check him out. Give him a like. If you haven't already, like I said, the dude's amassed 360,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is not a fluke, even though there's no pun intended there. But the dude actually, I've learned a lot watching his videos, and it's been a pretty wild ride. Again, I've been watching his videos for several years. Showed up at an angler retreat, looked in the door, and there's Gene Jensen. I'm like, holy, what did I just run into? And then I started looking around, and I was like, again, Alex Rudd, Ben Nowak was there for a while, Tyler Anderson. There was so many people there. Shea Baker. Dude, Shea Baker has become one of my really good buddies. That dude is one of the most down-to-earth people on the absolute planet.
And he's funny as I mean, he is so funny. I'm going to be on his show on Thursday talking about me and Dave Lefebvre are going to be on his show on Thursday. So
That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm with you. So I think he's a phenomenal guy. So I met so many people there, which I'm very thankful for. But I appreciate you joining us tonight, dropping some knowledge. But I'll stay in touch here. I'm off until mid-August. I'd love to come down or meet halfway and do some fishing. I don't have a yak, so it'd have to be boat style.
I got a yak. I got 2 yaks with motors, so we can go either way. I don't paddle anymore unless I have to.
That's right. So that's cool, man. Yeah. So,
my one of my kayaks. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a mounting video about it tomorrow. But Motor Guide's coming out with a new i3 that's for kayaks, and the main reason is everybody's been buying them and shortening the shaft to fit a kayak, but voiding their warranty. So Motor Guide's like, well, let's just make some with shorter shafts so they still have a warranty. And so that's what they're doing. But I've got one. I'm mounted on a boat. My son's been using it, but tomorrow I've got to take it off and remount it and do a video about it. But it's awesome. It's got spot lock, man. So
awesome, yeah. So that's really cool, man. Like I said, and that's the cool thing about the whole kayak fishing world now is you guys are finally getting the technology that have been in bass boats for 10 years. You know what I mean? It's got to be a game changer.
It is. It is. We just can't. I can't have too much. I've got a motor on the back that's a 3 horsepower electric Torpedo, and if I put that trolling motor on the front, I can't fish any KBF tournaments. So I can only have one motor on the kayak at a time. So, but they're awesome. It's fun watching the technology for kayak fishing. I can talk this forever, but my lives are usually an hour long, so I'm good for an hour. But yeah, dude, it's been fun. It really is. If you guys, anybody who hasn't seen or anything that I do, or if you ever want to get into a conversation about bass fishing, like, hey, Walton, what's going on? He's a buddy of mine, kayaker. Just jump on my Friday night lives, and I'm there Friday night from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern every single Friday night that I can, unless I'm out on a date night with my wife or on vacation with my kids. I'm always there. So. And I just love doing it, and I love doing YouTube, and I love teaching people how to fish. I got 782 videos. So
that's crazy. So Andy Lovejoy here, a guy that I teach with, says he does love some kayak fishing, and I think I know it's something I would enjoy, but I'm out.
I give you a promise. If you ever start kayak fishing, I will promise you will catch bigger fish out of a kayak than you will a boat.
Yeah, so you're right. Probably because there's less mass in the water, and
you're not disturbing the water nearly as much, and you'll catch more fish closer to the boat than you will. I've caught fish less than 3 foot from the boat, giant fish, multiple times. My biggest shoal bass out of the river came 2.5 feet from the end of my rod, 22 or 21-inch shoal bass.
So I think my biggest thing is that, having a Torpedo or, a Motor Guide or a trolling motor of some sort is a game changer there for sure. But would you recommend a pedal drive system for somebody getting into it first? Because I feel like having a paddle in your hands and fishing at the same time is almost, not, it's going to be.
You don't nearly get as many casts. Yes, pedal drives are great, but what I tell everybody before you buy a kayak, go try every single one of them that you can. Go to demo days, get online and find people in your area that own them. That'll let you, every kayaker will let you paddle his boat. It doesn't matter. They'll let you go out and try them, and try them without any gear on them, see how stable they are, and so on and so forth. There's so many different kayaks out there, and everybody has their own likes and dislikes, whether you know it or not. And the more kayaks you get into before you buy one, the more educated you are, and you'll get the one that you want. I don't recommend a bona fide as a kayak for somebody who's never tried out other kayaks. Because I flat tell them, try out every kayak, try out a bona fide, try them all, but don't just pick one and go do it. I did that, bought one for $600 from Academy Sports, or no, it wasn't Academy, it was Dick's Sporting Goods, and sold it after 2 trips. Because I couldn't fish out of it because my back hurt too bad after I was done. You just never know. So,
so that's the biggest deal. And it's almost like buying a bass boat, man. There's so many features and stuff that they have that are maybe proprietary to their brand that you may go, and like Kyle Maddox here, he says is not the nicer set on top kayaks. That's what I'm looking at. First off, I am not as flexible as I used to be. And being down in a kayak, and even trying to paddle that thing is like an act of Congress for me. Like, you know, like I feel like almost like my gut has to be above my knees.
Yeah. Well, for me, that was the problem. The first one I bought, my knees were at the same level as my butt. And so I was sitting flat and I just couldn't do it. So I found out the hard way that I needed to have one with a seat. The Bonafide has a 10-inch high seat off the deck in the high position. The Hobie PA14 and PA12, I think theirs is right at 10 and a half, 11 inches, somewhere around there. It's like sitting in a lawn chair. And I can do that. You know, Jackson's are a little lower. I think they're 7 inches. And you just got to try them all out and figure out and get in them for a good period of time if you can, and just see which ones fit your body. The thing I love about my Bonafide, and I don't think it's the best kayak in the world, but the thing that works really good for me is, one, it's stable. Two, when I catch a fish in the standing position, which I do quite often, catch a big fish, and I've got to sit down, I don't flop down. I just sit because the seat's so high, and I don't lose the tension in my rod when I flop, or like I do when I flop, you know. And so it's a great boat. It's not for everybody because it's a paddle craft, and if you can't afford a motor, you're going to be paddling. But seriously, there's one out there that fits everybody. So
yeah. So if you're looking at a total kayak newbie like myself, what's a decent length to go into as a starter? And again, I guess, you know, obviously looking them out, but if you were going to test them out, what would be a length that you would stick around?
I start with about a 12-footer for a good sized guy. Now the SS 107 is 10 foot 7 inches, but it's really wide. It's wide and it's got that catamaran style hull, so it's really stable. And I was afraid to get in it when I first got it because a 10-foot boat is not very stable for me. I'm 250, or I was 250 till before I started my diet a few weeks ago. And so I wasn't sure about it, but that one's pretty stable. But start at 12 feet. A 14-footer is probably too long. It's just a pain in the butt to haul around, put on top of a truck or anything else. But that 12-foot range seems to be a pretty magical number.
Cool.
So,
hey, Ryan Yates, what's up, buddy? Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, so, and like I said, it's something I'm going to get into. My biggest thing is that hooking up my bass boat, first off, it's stored at my dad's house, which is not that far from here. It's less than a mile from my house. But I have to go over there, and I'm building a garage here at my house. So within the year, I won't have to worry about that. But, excuse me, and that's another thing that's going to come up with my videos creating more and more, is that when I have to create a video about like a rigging video, I have to go to my dad's and either get my boat and go somewhere else or go there. It's just a pain, but eventually I won't have to do that. But right now, the reason I'm looking at it is like I can have a kayak here. I can throw it in the back of my truck and then go fishing and not have to worry about going over to do that. I can be fishing a lot of times quicker than I can go get my boat and pull it.
Right. And I'll tell you a disadvantage for filming in a kayak. You're only got a few different camera angles that you can use. And with the boat and the right setup, you can move that camera angle. You got a lot more room to move around and a lot more, camera angles to mess around with. But the biggest thing about a kayak is avoid that kayak crotch shot. that one you see all the time where you're looking straight up somebody's leg, and it's a pain in the neck. My stand is 21 inches long, I think. It's the same height as my chin. So it gets in the way of hook sets. It gets in the way of casts. It gets in the way of a lot of things. But it avoids that gnarly kayak crotch shot.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's crazy.
Brian the carpenter on Ike Live, when I was on there, gave me the hardest time about that camera angle.
Yeah, I get it. So that's the thing. Like, Shea Baker has videos on GoPro's actual YouTube video or YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is with G-Man, and they're there, and G-Man breaks like 3 Garcia rods in a row. He's like, snaps the rod. He's like, well, you got to have good equipment. But what I mentioned that is that Shay actually gave me a decent idea. He had some kind of a boomstick that he's created himself. I don't think it was from Yellowtech or whatever, but he had it stretched out like across the front of the console of the boat and had it out like 7 to 8 foot away from the boat. And it was it was back up towards the anglers. I was like, that is a really cool shot.
Yeah. I've thought about that one. I have one that mounts way up in the front of my boat for when I'm standing and sight fishing for redfish. That's way up front. It's run by remote and everything else, but it's a good camera angle that prevents that shot. Yeah, me and Shay are gonna have to bet. He's such a freaking genius when it comes to rigging and that kind of goofy stuff that I need to pick his brain quite a bit. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think if I come down your way, I'm definitely gonna have to go down there and fish with that joker. Like you can't be in that area and not get in a boat with him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I got boats. So if you get down here, I got the Alumacraft. I've got, I got all my kayaks. I think I got 6 bona fides, so we can work it out.
Sweet, dude. Yeah, well, we're right at the hour mark, Gene. Again, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Guys, just not joining us, it's Gene Jensen, aka FLUKEMASTER. Again, if you don't subscribe to his YouTube channel, I'm sure you do though. But if you don't, go over and hit, boost it up to 370,000 subscribers. Put it up there. But the dude has one of the most popular YouTube fishing channels for a reason. Puts out quality content, catches some hammers, and has fun doing it. So get over there and support him. I appreciate it. Gene, we'll see you around. Again, I'll get with you. I have your number here. You're going to get a few text messages from me now and again, so sorry about that.
I don't care.
I appreciate it. Again, guys, if you guys are just not joining us, this thing will be live on my YouTube channel. For some reason, YouTube takes about 8 to 10 hours to upload the video. It processes forever. But the Facebook video will be live as soon as we stop. So if you missed this, you want to go back, check out some of the knowledge that Gene and I dropped in the past hour, definitely do that. Again, if you guys don't care to share my content, get me to that 5,000 subscriber mark, I'd appreciate it. Again, we'll see you next time on Another Line. If you can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time. Get out there on the water.